Hi, and welcome to Conversations in the Living Room. My name is T.
I'm Drew.
And if this is your first time of joining us here, we're a married couple that have been together for over 10 years. We live in the UK. I'm of Nigerian origin and you are of
Gamden origin.
Okay, so today's conversation is going to be the part 2 of our coming out series, where last time you talked about your coming out experience. How did you find that episode? Because you had to relive a lot of memories.
I feel like it's something that I don't know, I feel like it's something I've relived quite a few times, actually. So for me, I think it was just a rehash of something that I've gone over in my head for a long time, over and over again.
And did you find out there was any sort of new feelings, new memories that came from that conversation?
I think for me, it was connecting Channel Orange to my realization around like the profound impact that had on me.
Okay.
From what I can remember.
I think for me, the last time when we recorded the episode, I think it kind of made me appreciate a lot of the sacrifices you made, a lot of the experiences your parents took in terms of journey they took to get to where they are, and even despite sort of our wrongdoings, because like watch it but you understand, even despite our wrongdoings, it's like they still gave us a chance and in some ways forgave us to have the relationship we have now. Yeah, today we're going to talk about my coming out story or my coming out journey. Where do I start from, actually? If you're gonna hear tap-ins on the floor, that's because I'm kind of nervous, because I don't think I've ever gone through the journey of my coming out from start to finish. So this will be the first.
How did your process start?
I think my process started with me understanding what it was to be gay. I think that it would be fair for me to start my journey from there, and it takes me all the way back to when I was young. So I moved to the UK when I was 12. Prior to moving to the UK, I lived in Nigeria. Both of my parents are pastors, and growing up, I had attraction to men. I had attraction to men, but I was not able to put a word to it to say, hey, this is what sexuality looks like, or this is what it was. So I went to an all-boys boarding school in Nigeria, and from there, I already knew, I went to a mixed boarding school in Nigeria, but we stayed boys in one side, girls in one side. But from spending time with the boys and sort of showering with boys and stuff, I kind of automatically knew that I was attracted to boys. This was pure sexual attraction. And from a young age, I never knew what that was. Now, leave boarding school, when I'm hanging out with friends, I would also be, attracted to them. Now, coming to the UK at 12. Coming to the UK at 12 was the first time where I saw guys being with guys openly, and it had word to what it was. Now, this was in secondary school. In secondary school, before I saw guys being open, people were being jested or being called names for being gay, just because they were feminine or because they were, just traits of what a stereotypical gay person should be like at such a young age. So at first then I was like, okay, am I not? I'm like, okay, cool. And then I saw...
Was that because you saw how people reacted to them, or because you didn't fully see yourself in the people who were gay?
I think I didn't fully see myself in the people that were gay, number one, because I was black. And then secondly, in my head, I was more masculine presenting. So I still wasn't sure, okay, am I or am I not? This is very stupid saying it out loud now. And then the second part was also how they were treated. So it's like, surely I would not want to be known as this if it's received with so much negativity. So I think in my head, at this point in time in school, I was still like, okay, am I gay, am I not gay? I think when the first realization came out that I was gay was when I saw two guys in school together in terms of dating. I think that's when I was like, okay, yeah.
What year was this?
I think this was like in year 10, but they were not dating, they were not from the same school. So it's like, when they come like, gay people from another gay people come to school, I feel like that was the moment where I now realized that, okay, that looks all right, that looks like something I want. I was also, like I said, I'm a pastor's son, so sexuality for me, I was pushing this to the back of my mind, like I am not gay, because religion was also telling me I wasn't gay. And then I think that at that point was when I started choosing to experiment, when I was like around 16. So secondary school was when I saw the couples dating, and through all this time I was pushing religion forward, and then we now went into me experimenting. My first experience with being gay, funny enough, not being gay, or my first sexual experience being gay was with somebody at church. He was a friend of the security guard who used to manage our church building. That was my first experience. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So this is so bad because I remember it like daylight now. My first experience was one evening service there was a church service going upstairs, and I had been talking to this guy, like, you know, saying hi to him. He was an older guy, and when he's in the toilet, I'll be peeing next to him and shit like that. So from then, I kept on sort of hinting that I was gay, or I wanted to sort of mess around with him. Church service was going on, and I remember I went downstairs, and he was there, or he followed me in there, I can't remember. We were both next to each other at the cubicle, and they were peeing, I guess. And then that's when I said that, oh, do you know what? I don't think I know how can I put it in a way that doesn't get beeped? I don't know how to stroke mine. And then he now said, oh, there it is, and showed me. That was the first time a man ever touched me, ever, in a sexual way. So that was my first experience. And then now, the reason why I go through all of this is, for me, coming out was first acceptance. I had to go through the journey of understanding what it was on a very basic term to be gay, and then I had to have an experience with a man to then be like
validate,
that it's real.
Yeah.
Like, I had experiences with women, I had experiences with girls in secondary school to sort of hide my sexuality. But I think the first time I had an experience with a man, that was when I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, it met your expectations.
This feels right.
Oh, because mine didn't.
Oh.
But yeah,
No way.
That's another tangent.
Okay.
I was like, am I like straight?
For real? To be honest with you, I think just having this conversation, there's going to be other topics we're going to dive into.
Yeah.
And that'll be one of them.
Yeah.
So taking you through that long journey is to show you that my first step of coming out was understanding what it was on a basic level to be gay, and then experiencing it to validate the fact that, okay, you are actually attracted to this, you are into this, and then came coming out. So coming out, like Drew said, was a process, in the sense that the first people I came out to, oddly enough, were my friends. So when I went to college, I was severely bullied because somebody had a vendetta against my brother, and a lot of times, a lot of his attacks were verbal about me being gay. And Capeza was the only person, and Lacey were the only people who would always come up to me and check on me, like, are you okay? Because they could not do nothing, they were women, so it's not like they could fight back. And the thing for me is, like, I could fight back, but education was such a priority in my head that it was like, do I risk fighting back? I'm not one of those people that if I fight back, it's like, oh, just, like, I will make sure I win. Whatever it takes, I'll make sure I win. So to me, it's like, do I ever risk that and leave school? So one day, I just told Capeza, do you know what? I'm gay, and I'm not into women in any way. And it was because she had saw me date women in college, and she was confused. She was just like, okay, but why? Why were, like, almost like, what was the point of you doing all of that? And she was like, we knew, we already knew. And she was confused. She was confused how the other girls did not know.
Yeah.
She was confused. She was like, how did they not know you were gay?
Has anyone else seen this?
So that was the first person I came out to. And then the second person I came out to was Tony. Told him I was gay. I'm going to be very transparent. A lot of the memories in terms of me coming out, I don't hold on to them if they are such a positive experience, in the sense that Capeza, I sort of hold on to that because it was like the questions she asked, like, how did the girls not know? They were funny. But Tony, I don't remember. The only other person that I remember, so I came out to my sisters, and then I came out to my sister-in-law. The only other person I can remember is my brother, because I think it's part of his wedding speech. My brother, I came out to him around when I met you. So I came out to him because he was asking what's going on, when are you going to start dating? And I think also it was at a point where I also wanted to be inviting you around. So he knew the friends I had, and then he would know I always go to London. So if I'm not randomly bringing this guy around to him, it's like, okay, who's this your new friend? So I came out to my brother, and he did not take it well at first, because I think this was something that you had already mentioned. When they have so much, what do you call it, expectation of what your future looks like, and then you come out to them, it's like, this is not reality, so I'm not accepting this. It was hard for him because him and I were like this, so he pushed back a lot. I wish I could be vulnerable enough to say the things he said, but I can't, because at the end of the day, the things he said is not who he is now, or like the life we have now. So I don't want to go through that experience of talking about that, because it doesn't serve me anything. I love my brother now for who he is. But when I first came out, yeah, it was rough. Now, the only person who could help me get through to my brother was Rumbi. Rumbi is my brother's wife, my sister-in-law, and part of the journey for me coming out fully to everybody, to my parents, to everybody, is down to her and my little sister. I don't think she knows this, but it's down to her, because Rumbi was the one who spoke to Toby on so many occasions. I kept on encouraging him, like, just keep going, like, you have to understand, like, he's not going anywhere, like, he doesn't change who he is because of this. Who he is as a whole person, I think, is what you also mentioned. And then Rumbi kept on. I said, Rumbi worked on this boy. Like, we would have conversations. Like my brother would make the journey of coming to me at one point and be like, okay, so are you bi? No, I'm gay. Okay, then what about this? What about that? And every time I would explain to him, he would not fully understand until when he goes to Rumi to talk to her. And then she would explain in the way that I was like, oh, it made sense. So I think the time my brother fully accepted me was around that 2017. It was around the time where something very horrible happened in our family. That tore us apart in a way. It tore up the relationship between our siblings and parents for that period. And because we had to rely on each other, I think that that was the moment that my brother and I became one, because we had to become the head of the house with everything we did. And I feel like that was the time where it hit him. At this point in time, he's my brother and I love him regardless. I feel like that was the turning point where it was like, okay, yeah, like accept him. And I think it's just now that I've actually had that realization. Because from then on, I cannot remember there being any sort of friction or discussion about sexuality in the sense of like, none. I wish I could just spend this episode talking about my brother, man. Because after that, it was just like, we held it down, And that just drew us so close, man. So close. And I thank God for Rumbi, man, because God knows, like, what she has done, my little sister, my older sister, my siblings, like that's all, like coming out once they accepted me. I cannot lie to you, I could take on the world. Because the thing with my parents is that my parents are pastors. I was never expecting their love to be like, okay, you're gay, welcome with open arms, because they have a lot of unlearning to do. But with my siblings, once they accepted me, that was it. When that happened, in my head, it threw apart the relationship I had with my parents. So what were my family at that point in time were my siblings. And my two sisters had already accepted me. And then now my brother accepts me. It's like I have a full team behind me.
What do you think was the main factor that resulted in your sisters understanding more about your experience and being more like accepting of you or accepting you earlier on, or even providing like the space for you to be comfortable to come out to them?
I think that there's a closeness that sisters have with each other and there's a closeness brothers have with each other. I think my sisters understood me and accepted me quicker because it was to them, how will I put it, they had no vision of what like...
less expectations.
Yeah. They had less expectations of what I should become or what my love life should look like. My older sister took some time because of religion, but it wasn't to the point of like, it was like, okay, my brother, like he had everything planned. We get married, we live probably opposite each other, our kids are playing with each other. So it was not just like he had everything planned. And to him, he saw that with a woman. I think probably in his head, he probably wanted us to get married on the same day. Like that's how much I believe that my brother saw everything. So when this happened, it was like, how do I rewire everything and paint a whole different canvas of what the future I have with you looks like? Coming out to my parents, Jesus. Coming out to my parents, when that happened, I had less pressure in terms of coming out to my parents because at this point in time, I was standalone. I was on my own 2 feet. I was pretty much looking after the household and everything. So coming out to my parents was not like, how do I put it? I wanted their love, but their acceptance was not something that...
You need to rely on them to like, for your upkeep or anything like that.
Yeah, their love was the main thing. Like, I just wanted them to love me as their son. If they did not accept me or they help me or anything, I did not care. Just love me as your son. So yeah, 2019, January 2019 was when I came out to my parents on New Year's Day. I'll never forget that day. They were coming back, funny enough, again in church. They were on their way back home from church. And I was like, I just kind of want to start this new year off with like a clean slate.
What about that time made you think that that was the time to take the next step of coming out to your parents?
I think at that point, like I said, I was fully an adult. I was taking care of myself in every way. And then I feel like I wanted to start that new year without any, what's the word? Secrets in a way, because it's like I fully accepted myself at this point. My siblings had accepted me. I just wanted to be out to them. And I think it was because I just wanted them to be in, like you said, the full scope of my journey. So on their way after church, basically told them Happy New Year, they did their prayers, and I was like, oh, by the way, mom and dad, I'm gay. Their initial reaction was expected. Like, my mom, sorry, like, what do you mean? My dad, quiet, of course. Like, yeah, I'm gay. Okay. Just like, I had to explain, what do you mean you're gay? It caught them off guard. Like, this was New Year's, first day of the year, so I'm sure they had a lot of other things on their mind. And I think, even from the conversation, it went back to religion, like, you know, at the end of the day, this is what the Bible says. But one thing I was surprised by is the fact that they ended the call with saying that we love you. That doesn't sort of take away from that, but the sin is what we don't love. And I remember them sort of ending the call there, and then I think it was my dad that reached out to me. The first time he reached out to me was around, I think he was confused by it, he was shocked by it, and he wasn't sure what to say. For me, although their words were not the right words at that time, it was overshadowed by the freedom I felt. Like, I felt such a release. I wasn't at that point thinking, oh my God, how's my parents gonna, like, how they're processing this, what do they feel? I did not think about any of that. All I felt was a release. Like, I'm free. They know. Once they know, who else needs to disturb me? Like, I felt freedom. And then over the years.
Was it how you expected you'd feel after you came out?
I think, honestly, yes. Because like I said, at that point in time, I was already comfortable. So the feeling and the emotion all aligned together, like in that moment. When the call had been done, I was free. Of course, I called Rumbi, I called Temi, and I told him about it. I think Temi was in the house. No, Temi was in the house. I think Temi was in the house when she was there. It was Rumbi. I called Rumbi, I was like, yeah, not to my mom and dad. She's like, swear. I was like, yeah. And then she was like, okay, cool. Like, what now? It's like, no. And then she was like, okay, cool. She was like, okay, cool, what now? Nothing. That's it. So I came out to them. Over the years, it's been a journey. I think, to be very honest with you, I haven't seen my parents since 2017, so that's like about 7 years ago. So I haven't seen them in person, so I've seen them for FaceTime. So to me, fully understanding what they have accepted and who we are as a couple and everything, I don't fully understand. I think that is a conversation I need to have with them in person, and until when that happens, I don't fully know what the relationship with my parents look like. So now it's very virtual, it's very, I love you, but I think it's different when you're in their presence, because this is the first time they will see you as their gay son in person. Like, now they have that image of you up close. And also my husband, you're gonna be there. So that will be the first time. How does that feel? Because you've had relationships with my parents, but this was just like as my friend coming over, sleeping over and all of that, coming for church programs, funny enough.
Yeah, your study buddy.
My study buddy. How do you feel about, like, this was the first time you're gonna see my parents?
I think relationships have to be built in person, or the foundation of a relationship, I think, for me, needs to be built in person, because it's like when you think about colleagues that you've never met, that you just FaceTime. When you meet them in person and they're able to see you, they're able to see your body language, they're able to like get your energy, I think that will be really like transformative for our relationship, or to be able to really understand where we stand. Because I feel like when I was meeting your parents in the past, I feel like, I wasn't really meeting them. I was just kind of going as, I wasn't myself. I was going as like a persona or an alter ego. Yeah. That wasn't me. So I feel like when I next see them in person, it's really going to be me meeting them almost like for the first time. Yeah. Yeah. I probably meet them soon, so that, you know, because I want to sort of begin that new journey, that new chapter with them, like whatever that looks like. And I think one thing I've learned through all of this is that although I see the progress they're making in terms of understanding our relationship virtually, I still don't feel like it's enough. But then my friends always have to remind me that where they are is leaps and bounds ahead of where a lot of people will be. Because my parents are hardcore, they're still very much hardcore pastors, but they're still understanding. But I think, like you said, it's when we are really in person and building that relationship, that's when we understand what our dynamic looks like. Because with your parents, it's like there is no understanding. Like, they love us, and it's very much outward in terms of how they express their love towards us. But with my parents, I still feel like you haven't figured out what that relationship or love looks like you said. So I think my advice to those that are thinking of coming out, security is first and foremost what I needed. Now, security can look differently for everybody, but my security was financial security. Once I had that, nothing held me back. What about you? What's your advice? Well, so I think you also had like physical security.
Yeah.
You could fend for yourself.
Yeah.
How was your emotional security during that time? Do you feel like you had that as well?
Yeah, I had my emotional security. I think that because at that period I was very, like, I think for me, it sounds so bad, a lot of my emotions and the comfort in how I feel secured is financially mainly. Once I was financially secured, emotionally I was in a good place because I wasn't dating anybody, I wasn't going through any breakup, I was just very much at peace with myself. We were not dating in 2019, were we?
We actually were.
Oh, were we?
Yeah.
So probably that's why I felt emotionally secure then. My bad. What about you? What's your advice?
I think I spoke about this earlier on my episode, is being prepared to take responsibility for the consequences that come with coming out, and weighing up also what's most important for you at that time, at that particular point in your life. Like, do you value expression and freedom as one of your top priorities at that point in your life? And if so, what is in the way of that? If coming out is in the way of that, then I think it's weighing up what is priority for you at that time. Like, for instance, the reason I didn't come out in school is because like social standing was a priority for me. I didn't want to be the pariah or the outcast at school. I just wanted to fit in, blend in, and even be popular, so I didn't come out. Also, the security of being at home living with my family was top priority for me, and the security that provided, having a house over my head. So I think weighing up what is most important for you at that time. Of course, as I got older, having to fit in or be cool and stuff, those things weren't as important for me. And also I could find those, I was friends with queer people who were like some of the coolest people in the world to me. So that no longer was like a truth that I had to hold. So I was like, I can still be cool, I can still have my community, and I can come out, and like these things constantly change. So
okay,
yeah. And then obviously I had my financial security, so that wasn't at risk by me coming out. So yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. So prioritizing what's important to you first and making sure you have the right level of security.
Yeah.
What is something surprising that happened when you came out that was unexpected?
I think what was most surprising about me coming out is the minimal homophobia I have faced.
What is surprising for me is, funny enough, religion. I think that coming out as a gay man has allowed me to realize that religion can be and has been the problem, but God is not. My faith in God and my spirituality and my understanding of God has been so much more stronger now that I am out living in my own truth. Because when I look at my truth, my truth is success career-wise. My truth is my siblings are in good health and living well. My parents are in good health and living well. I am married to a handsome man and had the most amazing wedding ever. It's like, to me, all the signs are showing me God is real and God is happy with who I am. So that's one thing that I think coming out has allowed me to realize. It's like, no, religion was the blocker.
Blessings will still rain upon you if your heart is in the right place.
Thank you. Religion is the blocker, not God. Like, that is what it is. And I am very happy with that part. Yeah, I was very surprised by that, because I thought to myself when I come out, I was like, this is it. Basically, to round off my experience on my journey of coming out, it's ongoing. I feel like when I see them in person, that would be the final moment of like, okay, I am fully out to them. I am here, this is my husband, we are in front of you, let's talk about it. I think that would be the defining moment that, okay, what does the future of our relationship look like with my parents? So yeah, until then.
Would you give any tips to people who are perhaps in a heavily religious environment that perhaps demonizes their sexuality? What helped you, I guess, find compassion being in a heavily religious environment whilst being a queer person? Especially a queer African person.
When the thing that happened with my family that I said to sort of basically tore us apart, the church was nowhere to be found. So that was the moment where I realized that being religious was just a community, and then the community decides if they want to stand up for you in that moment or not. So that was when I sort of had that realization to do with church. Then when it came to God, I would be praying to God for blessings here, this, there, and God is always on time. Like, he has never failed me. Nothing I've ever wanted, nothing I've ever dreamt of, he has never let me down. God has never let me down. So I think that is when I realized that, yeah, God loves me for who I am. So whoever's battling that sort of, how do I put it? What is it? Battling the fight between, like, does God love me, my sexuality? It's a very big fight. What I will say to you is, if you can close your eyes and take religion out of it, what the church expects from you, what people want, like, all of that, if you can just close your eyes and take yourself out of the church and you're standing still one with God and you're praying to God and asking him, what does your future look like? If you can see God aligning everything you want and there is a man there and that is who your future looks like, stand with it and enjoy your life. Because I did that and here I am. Here I am.
You hate that.
No. Like, I'm not even joking, here I am. Like, God loves you. He loves every fiber, every part of you. He designed it, he created it. He created every fiber in you. and that includes your heart. If your heart wants a man, if your heart wants to build a home with a man, who's anybody tell you that don't do that? So yeah, God is love, and I love you.
And on that note, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Conversations in the Living Room. We are going to try and stay consistent. We're going to be uploading bi-weekly videos, guys, with our Conversations in the Living Room series, where we lift the curtain on our blueprint for love, pleasure, and relationships. We hope you've enjoyed yourselves. Please like, comment, and subscribe, because we YouTubers, okay? And don't forget to tap the notification bell for our latest notifications, something like that. I haven't perfected that one yet, but we hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed listening to hubby's coming out story, which isn't ending. Yes, it's still a journey, it's still a process.
The journey continues.
Yeah.